Alright guys, today we're talking about the Demko AD20. This particular AD20 was sent to me on loan from Nick. Thank you, Nick, for sending this along, as well as the other ones we'll take a look at later. This is 20 CV. It is the no-hole version. Not that that makes any difference whatsoever as far as cutting goes. So I'm going to talk about how this sharpened, how it deburrs, a little bit about how it is in use and carry, and we'll go ahead and compare it to the AD15. So I did edge retention testing on this. Now, go ahead and get this out of the way now. This is ground a little bit thicker than the AD15. So this was run at 17 degrees per side. Didn't want to go any lower than that. Not that it's terribly thick, but a couple more degrees, it would definitely thicken up quite a bit. So 17 degrees per side on this 20 CV. So we'll go ahead and get the cutting out of the way, and then we'll come back and talk about all the different stuff. Now that we got that cutting out of the way, go ahead and talk about all the different things I wanted to talk about with this. So 20 CV, don't remember exactly what the edge angle was. The factory edge, like I mentioned earlier, it is 17 degrees per side, and pretty uneventful sharpening, no problems. Felt pretty good on the diamond plates, and deburred pretty much like any other knife. No problems deburring it or anything like that. So I did sharpen it a few times and then start the testing. So we'll go ahead and cover those results first, and then we'll talk about everything else. So on the first test, which was the third edge, 135 feet fine edge, 108 feet working edge, for a total of 243 feet. So I went ahead and sharpened it again, everything the same, 1500 grit, 631 micron, 5 passes per side. Ran the test again, and on the fourth edge, 147 feet fine edge, 106 feet working edge, for a total of 253 feet. Now, how much would this pick up going to 15 degrees per side? I can't say. I know with my AD15 Demko, going from 20 to 17 picked up quite a bit. However, even though Nick did say I could run this at 15 degrees per side, at the price of this, I'm not going to make it any bigger than it is. In use, it did perfectly fine. Have no issues with how it performed in daily cutting. I know some of the people in the comments have talked about 250 feet is about what they like to see for something. I agree with that. This dropped back very nicely, so I had zero problems in the 4 days that I did carry it. No complaints whatsoever with it. No problems. If this was my own knife, I also probably would not drop it below the 17 degrees. The bevel isn't too big, but it would definitely grow if we dropped it down some more. So, works just like any other video you guys have seen. Super easy to operate, left-handed or right-handed. And something I found interesting. Didn't take very long of actually using this. Minutes. It reminded me a whole lot of the AD15. Now, once I got home that day and actually started looking at it, there's a huge reason why. So we'll talk about the grip area. It's pretty much identical in size. And to note, I can't say how close the Cold Steel AD10 is to the actual Demko, but the AD10 has the exact same grip area as both of these do. Now, when you stick these on top of each other, you can see there is a slight difference, but they are so close that this feels pretty much like the AD15 in use. Now, what are some of the differences? Believe it or not, the clip, because it's almost the identical clip, just a different way of mounting, feels the same way when you're holding on to it. Big differences in this would be obviously the lock here. However, no matter how you're using it, now if you were to use this as a finger placement, yes, this lock will dig into your hand right here. Like I've talked about though, I do a lot of cutting like this because that's how I test, and I don't feel the lock, and it pretty much feels exactly the same as the 15. One other notable difference is, while these are very close in weight, the AD15 feels much more balanced when you're holding it in your hand. It feels like you have as much weight hanging off the front as you actually have in your hand. The AD20, however, to me, feels very blade heavy. Not a bad thing, just something to note. And on top of that, while they are very close in position, the AD20 does ride just a little bit deeper in the pocket than the AD15. I find that this has a whole lot more swing in my pocket than this does, which is interesting because as you can see, this rides about here in your pocket where this rides about here, so we're not talking about a whole lot of difference. You can see it right there. Not even maybe an eighth of an inch or so. Just something worth noting. Now, I really do like this knife. I did want to get one, and I'm not saying that I won't ever get one. However, because it feels in use so much like the AD15, I just don't see the reason to pick one of these up right now. Perhaps in the future I will, just not something that I'm looking to get right now. And for you, those of you that might want to know, as far as overall length, it is a hair longer than the AD15, and it's pretty much all in the handle. The blade is just a hair shorter than the AD15. Not much. The extra length on this one comes in the back of the handle back here. So, really enjoy this. Really like it. I'd definitely like to try one in 3V. Don't think there's anything wrong with 20 CV in this knife. However, given the design, I think the 3V fits the intended purpose of this knife much better than the 20 CV does. So go ahead and set that to the side for a second. And Nick did send me some other stuff to test, and one of them is an older Wii, and the only marking on this entire blade is the D2 up here. This is an early Wii, back when these were in the $100 to $120 range. This is actually super comfortable in pretty much any grip in use. The action's pretty good on it. Like this one. There'll be a test on that one coming up. He did also send me his 0640, and this is in 20 CV. Now, I know he's getting a regrind on this one. The only problem I have is this bevel you see right here is 20 degrees per side. So it's already getting thick. Let that car go by. It's already getting thick. When this came, I measured the angle when I first decided to sharpen it, and it was close to 22 degrees per side. So I know he's getting a regrind. I may drop the bevel on this one a little bit and test it. I'm going to talk to him about it first. I do really like this knife. I'm not a huge ZT fan. It's no secret. But I do like the 640. I've used it some. I find it to be comfortable in pretty much any grip you're going to use it in. Of course, we get outside and it doesn't want to. The action's not bad on it. I like it. And he also did send me his Medford Proxima. And this one is in S35VN. Flips out great. It's got a nice hollow grind on it. So there will be a test on this one coming up. I did already run it. I know what it's capable of. So watch out for the Medford S35VN, the early Wii possibly the ZT, and the AD20. I did enjoy having this one. Like I said, you guys heard the reasons why I'm not going to pick one up right this minute. I'm definitely not getting the smaller AUS-10 version just because I'm already cramped on any of the Demko knives. The 10, the 15, or the 20. I wish they had just a hair more room, because in any kind of grip like this, my fingers are definitely crowded together. I could use another eighth to quarter of an inch. Would be really nice, especially a quarter inch. So that's all I have for this one. You guys have one. Love to hear your thoughts on it, how you like it in use, how you think it compares to the AD15. Do you have the 20CV or the 3V version? And that's all I have. As always, I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.